Obviously, you had a win in January. I'm curious, in retrospect, I mean, was that a big one for you to kind of, put that loss behind and get back to winning ways?
Yeah, for sure. It's always kind of a little bit extra pressure going into a fight, knowing that you're already like in the loss column, you don't want another one. So yeah, it felt good, and it's always a plan to win. So we won, so it was good.
Can you say what last year was like for you, right? I mean, it was bad for everybody, I guess. But I mean, personally, it seems like everything's great, but the professional side, it just seemed like the plans kept getting messed up and didn't work out the way things were supposed to. So what was the last year like for you?
Yeah, take away all that crap and the pandemic, obviously, but I feel like the gym has been at the best it's ever been, the most busy. It feels like everyone just came out, and we've just grew so much at the gym, and I don't know, just everything, even though like obviously it was a crappy time for everyone, including myself when I got COVID and my fight, like I lost, still there was a lot of pros that came from last year.
Nice. You get this matchup, it seems to be a big one in the division. What do you think when this was the name that they gave you?
Yeah, I was surprised because I was like chasing this fight, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get it, and we had heard, no, that's not going to be the next fight for you. But I was like, kept pushing it, and then yeah, finally they were like, yeah, let's do it, and that's the power of social media, I guess. And I realized that, and I was like, okay, cool. Obviously Lauren was very vocal that she wanted to be next, and that didn't happen for her, so I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm glad to get this challenge.
Do you know why there was resistance to put the fight together? Because it does seem like a pretty logical one.
I don't know. Just you never know with the UFC. You really don't know. Like you don't know what they're thinking and planning. They've always kind of got things going on, so I don't know why it wasn't going to happen, and maybe. I don't know. Right. I really don't know.
Stylistically, what do you think about her as an opponent? What do you think of the matchup?
I love it. I love it. She's tough. We've both never really been stopped. I've only been submitted, so I can see this either, us both going the distance and putting on a great performance because we're going to go in there and let our shit go, and it's going to be a great fight for the fans.
She said she expects it to be violent and bloody, I believe is the things that she said. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, and we're both pale-skinned. We're just going to go in there and hit each other, and we're going to come out with looking like lobsters with blood or just our skin being pink.
That's funny. Last one for me. I mean, are you thinking about where this gets you and that sort of thing? I mean, could you sneak a title shot out of this? I mean, she is a highly ranked contender. I mean, I know you just had the setback, but I mean, do you feel like this could be a #1 contender fight?
Yeah, but I'm ready for anything, not seeing past Lauren this Saturday. Obviously, that's my #1 goal and concern right now. But yeah, this is why I'm here. I want to fight. I want to keep fighting, stay active, and luckily enough, we have a champion in our division that wants to stay active, and she wants to fight all of us. So that's great for me.
Jojo, did you see her lookalike that she brought in to her camp?
No, but I heard she was a lot prettier than me.
No. Did you think maybe returning the favour and bringing a lookalike of Lauren into yours?
No comment, but my fiancé did send me the picture, and he was like, I think I'm leaving you.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Jojo over here. John kind of alluded to it with his last question about fighting for a title. Is that something you have to get? Because it's kind of alluded to you, that title shot. Do you feel any extra pressure to get that, regardless of when it comes?
Listen, every fight you go in is pressure, whether it's the fight game or life, and I just feel like you just have to get on the roller coaster and go with it and see where it takes you. And obviously my goal is just never give up and see where I end up, and I feel like the title would be a great part of my journey. If it doesn't come, then it's not meant to be, but obviously that's what I'm looking for to happen in my career, like everyone else.
What do you think about when Caitlin Chagan, she won her last fight? She's like, those ladies can get the shot for Valentina, but I'm really the second best person in this division because I beat both of them. Does that bother you that she talks that noise?
No, because we are in great places. I would rather be me and Lauren than her because she's already been beat by Valentina. We've still got a chance to beat Valentina, so I would rather be in our shoes than hers.
How much does getting a good start? We've seen you, when you get off to good starts, you kind of dictate the terms and control the whole match. And we've seen you kind of struggle when you get off of slow starts. So would it be safe to say that first 5 minutes is very key for your success on Saturday night?
I would disagree. I feel like I'm always a slow starter, but yeah, my last fight, I just, my emotions got the better of me because I wanted to put my hands on Jessica. But, yeah, I'm going to just go in there and see what happens. But yeah, it would be good to kind of put it on her, but also don't want to expose myself for, the takedown or anything like that. So yeah, just try and be disciplined, but also stay in the game plan and yeah, still have the little bit of me inside me that goes in there and goes for the kill.
And what's your mentality? As we both know, we all know that y'all styles match up, and it could be a fight of the night. So you preparing for that, knowing that you're going to go to war, you're going to be sore for a couple of weeks after the fight. How do you prepare for that mentally, leading up to that, knowing what you're in store for Saturday night, win or lose?
I guess after having 40 fights, with the mentality of I'm going in there and I'm breaking my hands, I'm breaking everything on that just to get the win. It kind of gives you that you go in there and you don't care what happens to you in there, and you just want to hurt someone and get that W. So I think just of years of experience of just, okay, I could go in there and hurt myself, but you know what? There's medics there, and it doesn't really bother me. I do it every day, twice, 3 times a day. It's just something that I'm used to now, and it's all I've known.
And final question for me, have you envisioned getting your hand raised? And we know that you're pretty good on the mic. Would you call for a title shot, or are you just going to kind of let it be? Or are you going to go in there and you got a speech for us after you went through a non-bloody 15-minute war with Lauren? Have you envisioned that, or is that not part of the dream?
It's funny, I always envision winning and then, what am I going to say? But it never comes out on the night the same as what I've envisioned or what I've said. And this is why, my team are always saying, you should say this, you should do that. I'm like, no, there's too much pressure. I'm going to go up there and get the mic and say someone's name wrong or say something wrong and get my words tangled. And usually I just wing it when I'm there, and sometimes it comes out the perfect way, or sometimes it comes out, I'm like, oh geez, why did I say that? But don't give me the mic after I've just fought for 15 minutes.
Jojo, right in the middle. You had said in your last fight, maybe the emotions got the better of you because you want to get your hands on Jessica. So do you prefer fights like this where there's just no animosity, or do you need that little extra something to motivate yourself to get in there?
No, it's a fight at the end of the day. I know I'm going in there and I know they're trying to hurt me, so I have to be I have to be there standing with my sword and shield, knowing that they're coming at me. So I guess it's just every fight's going to be a defense mechanism of me being there oh shit, they're coming after me. And yeah, the last fight is just a good example of me bringing more of that out.
And then one last one,
Especially didn't want her to beat me.
Right. And then one last one, not to constantly bring up the title fight or anything, but Lauren was in here earlier and we asked her if she thought this was a #1 contender fight, and she said the only way we're going to get a title fight is if we get an impressive performance. We can't just stare at each other for 15 minutes and the winner's not going to get a title fight off of that. Are you in agreement that you need the good performance, or you're just going out there to get the W?
Listen, this is the entertainment business, and yeah, we need to go in there and put on, right now we're in the prelims, so I would say, yeah, we have to go out there and put on a good show for UFC and the fans and for ourselves.
Jojo back here. You and Paul Craig are on a card again. Is that kind of exciting for you to represent Scotland together?
Yeah, I just saw him earlier and I was like, it's pretty cool we're on the same card. Obviously, we want to put Scotland on the map and inspire other people from Scotland and just represent.
You've had plenty of ups and downs in your career too. I'm curious, do you have a specific point that you would point out as the biggest learning experience for you?
Oh my gosh, we've not got all day. But yeah, there's been a lot of failures in my career and life as well. And just rolling with the never give up and hopefully inspiring other people out there to not give up.
One of your past opponents, Jessica Andrade, just fought for the title, of course, and having fought her and watched Valentina, what did you make of that fight and the performance that Valentina had?
Valentina was awesome. I really thought it was going to be a different fight, and respect to both of them. But Valentina I was like, oh shit. She was impressive and dominant as she is. And yeah, it was a good fight for me as a fan to watch and see that. But I love challenges.
Definitely. And your teammate, Ramona Pascal, she's got a fight this weekend as well. Seems like you guys have been having plenty of fun in the lead up to both of your fights. Just what's it been like getting to work with her in the lead up to this?
It's been awesome because she's a lot bigger than me. So we're planning for Lauren to be much bigger than me. So it's been good to have that bigger body. And you know what? The best thing is our sense of humor. We can both banter between each other, so it's been a really fun camp. But obviously having the pros of her being bigger for me to deal with.
Is having that kind of fun important to relieve stress, especially for the bigger fights?
Oh, for sure. MMA is very stressful. It's like when you think about what we have to do every day, we have to actually be physically using our body, and you're usually having to use someone else's body. So it's a stressful environment, and we're in it most of the day. So it's good that you can have that banter and have a few laughs, and it makes it not that serious. But obviously when the time comes, you want to be serious, and we can have that switch.
Absolutely. And last thing for me, JoJo, you're an Invicta alum, and we have an Invicta show coming up this Friday. And they're doing open scoring now. Just curious, what are your thoughts on open scoring? Is that something that you like, or just overall thoughts on it?
Yeah, I love it. But I feel like I've got confidence in my corner team. They're going to tell me, hey, you got to go out there and put this girl out. So it would be good for that side of things, for them to have something to be backed up, because sometimes it can be close and you just don't know, so it would be good for that. But I'm all for it.
Thanks, JoJo. Good luck.
Thank you.
One question, just what you allude to with Valentina. I've asked other people in the division, so I'll ask you this. How does it feel to have somebody that has such a big shadow of a division that you got to compete with, that you need your personal best just to compete with them because of what they accomplish in their quote-unquote greatness?
Yeah, it's hard because, every day you go in and you're like, oh, geez, is this going to be a bad day or a good day? And then that's always a worry of mine when fight day comes, because we can be good all week and then turn up and then be like, oh, crap, I don't feel my arm. But it's just, that pressure is there, but I feel like the pressure brings out the best of you, so you just have to kind of be there mentally and physically, and that's all you can do. That's what your camp's for, to have the best camp you can, and then hopefully it shows up on the day.
Are you looking at this as a number one contender spot? Because we've been going back and forth. Nobody's officially named it that, but is that your mindset?
What was the question?
That this is the number one contender fight to fight Valentina.
I think it all depends on, what happens Saturday night. It depends on my performance. If JoJo and I have a fight where we just go out and look at each other, then no. It has to be a good performance.
Give us some insight to your mindset, your momentum, because you're on a 4-fight win streak. And it seems like every time we see you, you get better and better, and your striking is way more crisp.
Yeah, that's my mindset, just to get better between every fight. And I'm working with such a great team right now. Like they've really invested a lot in me, and so I invest a lot back in them. I spend all my time training. Sometimes like people ask about like, what shows do you watch? What other hobbies do you have? And it's like, none. I literally spend all my time training, eating, or recovering.
Have you been working on your ground game? Because the last time you got the submission, we like used to see you put them hands on people, but you choked her out last time.
Yeah, it was good to get a submission on my record. I'm an extremely well-rounded fighter. I'm good anywhere the fight goes, and I'm really proud of that. There's not really any holes in my game. No matter what you're good at, you're going to have a hard time doing what you're good at when you fight me, no matter what you're good at.
Do you take it personal and see like people, even though you're getting better, people still, she's not ready for the big stage, that people keep underestimating you? Does that kind of get you going?
I don't think anybody has said that about me in a long time. I've been on a couple of really big pay-per-views now, and I think people are starting to take notice that I'm a really good fighter. I'm one of the best in the world. And I don't think anybody has said that about me in a long time. If they have, then they're a hater. Like, it's not, I wouldn't even take it personal, because it's like they just don't know what they're looking at.
And what challenges does Joanne possess that's going to be difficult to deal with her being another elite best fighter in that division?
JoJo's good at a lot of stuff. She keeps a good high pace. She throws a lot of kicks really well, especially like good long straight kicks, like her teeps and stuff. So stuff like that is going to be a bit of a challenge, but we've trained hard for it. I think she's going to try to clinch, and I love the clinch. So I'm really actually very excited to see what this fight looks like in the clinch.
And final question for me, how big a deal is to come out the chute and set that tone? Because we've seen her, when she gets off to a slow start, not be the fight up to her capability. We're also seeing her get up to a fast start and dictate the pace of the whole fight. So how big a deal is that first round to come up in there and bust in the face and kind of set that tone?
I think almost all fights that's important. There's not a lot of fights that I would go into where it's like, the first round we'll just kind of give away. You know what I mean? Like, it's only a 3-round fight, and so you only have 15 minutes. It's really actually not that long, and if you let the first 3 or 4 slip by, then you're playing catch up. So I think in almost all fights it's important to get started right away.
Lauren, back here. You mentioned kind of the haters right there, and are you feeling disrespected by the odds a little bit, because they have her slightly favored right now?
No, I mean, I don't take any of that personally. Like, I love winning people money. So people always message me after I fight. They're like, you won me a bunch of money. I'm like, I know, brother. I won a bunch of money too.
That's definitely a good feeling. And I mean, you've had such a great career to this point. You were the first Invicta Bantamweight champion. People, I think, forget about that. But fought so many good people. Has there been a point for you that you would say has been the biggest learning experience, though, so far?
I've had a couple. I think the 2 that really stand out in my mind is that, one, The Ultimate Fighter was a really big learning experience for me. I really learned about the importance of staying positive and staying in the moment. And, really practicing those concepts really increased my fight IQ. It's made my entire life better, actually, inside and outside the ring. And so as hard of a time as that was for me, and as humiliated as I felt on The Ultimate Fighter, it actually really was a really big turning point in my career. The other thing I think that I've really changed, or that was a big turning point for me, I guess, was when I decided that, I have 4 losses in my career. My record is 14-4, and there was a time where people were like, oh, she's at the end of her career, she's kind of on a downhill slope. And I just decided, like, to myself, kind of, that it wasn't. It was like, I've always failed forward, I've always failed trying big things. I've always failed on big stages, and those aren't really failures. And I think when I decided that, my whole mindset about my own career changed. And then when my mindset started to change, it changed the mindsets of the people around me, Yeah,
and some of those losses were, questionable too, right?
Yeah, I think, I'm 14. I'm like, what is my record in the UFC right now? It's like, I don't even know. But like at least 3 of those losses could have easily been wins, So like 3 out of 4 losses on my record, I could be like 17-1 right now. I can't math right now very well, but a lot of those losses were super close, and that was part of my mindset, when I decided that. It's like, man, you have some like failures, but you've been failing forward, and so that's not really failure, is it?
And do you wish that you went to flyweight sooner in your career, or was it perfect time, you'd say?
It was perfect timing. Absolutely. It was 100% perfect timing to go to flyweight. It's taken me some, I started my career at 145. I have some TKOs. I actually have TKOs in 3 different weight classes, yet I'm not on the pound for pound list, which I find very odd. But, I started my career at 145, and as I've developed into a better athlete, I was able to go down those weight classes. I was not an athlete before I started MMA. Mixed martial arts was the first sport I ever played, and I picked it up when I was 26 years old. And it's taken some time, but it is in my DNA to be a great athlete. It's literally in my genetics. And now that I have a great team around me helping me with my nutrition and my strength and conditioning and monitoring my training to make sure that I'm not overtraining or undertraining, the athletic genes that I have are fully expressed.
And, I mentioned your title in Invicta, and they got a show coming up this weekend. I'm just curious, since you were in Invicta, they've adopted open scoring. And what are your thoughts on that whole premise? Would you like that yourself, or what are your thoughts on it?
I don't really have much to say about it, to be honest. I think I've only watched like one show maybe where they had it, and they were like showing it to the fighters' corners, but not to the fighter. I think it has some kinks maybe that they still have to be worked out, but I think that just like with like the closed scoring, there's pros and cons to it, I'm sure.
Last thing for me, Lauren, what is your ideal outcome for this fight? I mean, obviously you want to dominate, but would you prefer a submission or a knockout? Like, how do you fantasize about it a little bit?
I would love to get another TKO. I love winning fights by pound and pound. I love it. I have a really nasty top game in jiu-jitsu. It's pretty good. And to me, that's what feels dominant, is when somebody's underneath me and I can feel them start to break. To me, it's just, it's the joy of my life.
Best of luck, Lauren. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lauren, I know you said that you liked the matchup, but I know you were thinking title shot as well, right? So when it wasn't a title shot, when it was this, was there any initial like upset or frustration at all?
No, because I knew that like the fight when it was booked with Cynthia could have been a #1 contender fight. I thought that was a great matchup. But then I knew when it was like when Lilia had to take the fight on short notice, I was like, I kind of knew that it wasn't going to be title aspirations. I mean, it's hard to justify a title shot when you fight somebody on short notice like that, And to be honest with you, I'm glad, because it would be hard for me to go in and fight Valentina and feel confident about that coming off of a win over, a newcomer. She's probably a strawweight. And so really for my own benefit, I have to fight somebody tough. And I'm happy to fight a striker, going in, because it's like I have to be able to pass these tests to get to the next level. So I don't think my head would be in a very good space at all if I was walking into a title fight right now. And I love my job. I love to fight. I'm happy to go in and do what I do. And I really think that like if I just focus on, like enjoying the fight and having a good performance and doing my best in every moment, then things like wins and bonuses and title shots and everything else, that'll all be byproducts of me staying in the moment and doing my best.
I guess with all that said, do you feel like this is a #1 contender fight? I mean, are you saying you can't focus on that, but on paper, it sure looks like you win here. There's not a lot of other names, to match up with. I would love to say that it's a #1 contender fight. I would like to say that, but I also know that in this sport, it's like anything could happen. So I could win this fight, but come out with such an injury that maybe, I'm sitting on the shelf for 9 months, or maybe I win this fight and then Valentina gets injured. That's what happened to JoJo, right? She was lined up for the title, and then the champion got injured. It was totally outside her control. And to be honest with you guys, we haven't even passed all the COVID tests yet. So it's like we have like 9 people that have to all pass their COVID test before JoJo and I can even get in the cage. So it is hard for me to say like, oh yes, this is going to happen, and when I do this, this is next, because I learned years ago, man, you just can't do that in MMA. Fair enough. What's the story of this JOANNE Calderwood lookalike that you're training with? Did you seek somebody out to like look exactly like JOANNE Calderwood?
She's a ringer, right? Yeah, she looks just like her. No, that's a woman that goes to our gym. She goes to Main Street, and she's super, super sweet, really kind. And I've seen her there since I started training at Main Street. And I've always thought like, man, she looks just like JoJo Calderwood. Like when I first saw her, I had to do a double take, And so when this matchup came around, the whole camp, I was like, we have to get a picture with her. Like, we have to do this. And then luckily the last day that I was at the gym, she was there, and even the side of her head was shaved and stuff. And so, yeah, it came out pretty cool. It worked out just perfect.
I thought it was a Photoshop. I was like, I thought it was actually Joanne.
Dean Thomas wrote to me, and he was like, I'm confused. I said, we're trying to get the closest look possible.
That's fantastic. Last thing for me, I guess, what's the goal here? Like you said, I mean, you want to win. You want to go out there. You want to get a TKO. But I mean, do you feel like you've got to send a message? Because I feel like you have been battling for respect. You know, that sometimes you don't get the respect you deserve. So do you feel like you got to go out there and do something like spectacular, dominant, or is it just let's get a win and see where we go next?
I don't know, man. I feel like I can't control what people think of me. You know, I've never been able to. One of my coaches used to tell me I was the Rodney Dangerfield of women's MMA. You just can't get no respect. And it was like, when I was in Invicta, man, I was winning. I won, you know, I fought Caitlin Young on short notice. Nobody thought I had a chance. I fought Sarah D'Alelio. Nobody thought I had a chance. I fought Miriam Nakamoto. Nobody thought I had a chance. And even after those fights, I still wasn't getting a lot of respect. So it's like, I don't know, I can't really focus on it because I can't control. People are going to think what they're going to think. Sometimes on Twitter, people will say stuff about me, and like they're not even talking about the right fighter. You know, they'll have like a picture of somebody and they'll think it's me. It's like, that's not even me. So I think people are going to have their ideas about me, and it's none of my business.
Lauren, right here. Jim Grieshaber, MMA Weekly. To share this journey with Max, you've talked about this before with your son.
Yeah.
There was a time when you wouldn't let him watch you fight, but you started in the sport because of him. So as you win and as you keep moving up, I mean, what a great way to show your son how to win in life. Can you just talk about that journey and how that is for you as a mom with him?
Yeah, I think I said it like I think I said it last year, but I just don't know if I could have been a better example to him doing anything else, because he's gotten to watch me go through some really hard times. When Max was a kid, he had a rough childhood, and I wasn't in a great spot, and he kind of witnessed all that, and then he saw me, you know, start doing this thing, which it seems very violent and it seems kind of strange, but he saw me work really hard towards, you know, goals that I set for myself. He saw me achieve some of those goals, fall down sometimes, fall flat on my face, pick myself back up, try again, you know, and how could you be a better example to your kid than to do something like that, you know? Now that he's older, he'll be 20 this month. Now that he's older, he understands that. He didn't really when he was a kid, you know, and of course, like, I would never want him to watch something bad happen to me. You can never predict what's going to happen in a fight. But now he can see that and he can respect that, because it's like, man, my mom really tried hard to make something happen, and she worked at it a really long time, and she kept persevering even when things didn't go her way, and you know, now she's in a really good spot, and I think it's possible for him no matter what he wants to do in his life. And we actually have a really close relationship now, and yeah, I'm proud to make him proud.
What about for anyone out there who, I mean, you started 26 in this sport. It's crazy to think of the level that you've reached, because that doesn't happen every day, but it is proof for anyone out there that may think it's too late, or, you know, they missed the boat, or that ship has sailed, whatever you want to say. It never is.
Yeah, anything's possible. I mean, I walked into a gym, I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day, I was pretty heavy into pills, I drank a lot, and I walked into a jiu-jitsu gym one day and it changed my life. And I don't know, I say this a lot, but literally every good thing that I have in my life is because of jiu-jitsu. And that, I think it's available to anybody, but I made a lot of sacrifices for it too, and I made a lot of tough decisions, and I've taken some heat, you know. It was a little hard, it was hard to hold my head up sometimes, but I came out the other side of it stronger, and that is all because of my experience in this sport. It was difficult, man. I walked into the gym, I was 26, with no athletic experience, and 4 years later I was in the UFC fighting Olympians and title contenders and women that had been athletes their entire life. So there were some times that I stumbled and fell flat on my face, but like I said, man, it's failing forward. It's failing, you know, daring greatly. So they're not really failures when you think about it like that. And I do think that is available to anybody in anything that they want to do.
Thank you.
Hey, Lauren, locally based fighter, fighting in a big pay-per-view here locally. What does that mean to you?
Well, I actually moved to Texas a couple years ago. To 2019, we moved out to Texas. So, but it's really cool to be here in Phoenix, man. A lot of my old teammates are out here. A lot of good friends are out here. We've had guys like Sean O'Malley, Tanquino Mendez, some girls that are on the fight team at the lab, and they've all offered to help. Like, anything you need, let us know. It feels good because in a way, it does feel like home. I lived here for 5 years. We know where all the good spots are to eat. You know, I've been to fights in the Gila River Arena before. Our house was like a mile from the arena that we're gonna fight in. So I know that area, and it feels good to be back in Phoenix, and it's been really fun making good memories here.
Oh, last one, just for fans, for people who've never experienced something like this, what can they look forward to? What about and even the hardcore UFC fans who are coming to this event? What's the spectacle like?
For the show or for the fight?
Everything.
Everything. Well, the UFC puts on the greatest show. They really do. Their production value is unmatched. And so even people that, have never been to a UFC, if you come to one live, it is an experience all on its own. Man, you don't even have to know any of the fighters, but I promise you that you will be into it, within the first couple fights. So the UFC does put on one of the greatest shows, on earth as far as I'm concerned. But the fight with JoJo is going to be violent. I think it's going to be high-paced. It's going to encompass a lot of different aspects of the fight game. There's going to be a lot of clinch work. There's going to be some groundwork. There's going to be boxing and kickboxing. It's not going to be a boring fight, and it's probably going to be pretty bloody. That's what I think. One way or the other, somebody's going to be bleeding. So I think it's going to be an outstanding fight.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lauren, you mentioned you lived here for 5 years. What do you think about the state of MMA in Arizona?
I think it's amazing. We went to some local shows, like some of the smaller shows. What is that promotion out here called? Yeah, anyway, there's some local promotions out here that are bringing up-and-coming fighters, and I loved going to those shows because it's like you never know who you're going to see fighting like their second or third fight, and then 3 years later, they're in the UFC, and you're like, oh my God, that guy's going to be a superstar. But look at the fighters that are out here right now. Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley, Kyler Phillips, Mario Bautista. I mean, Benson Henderson, his wife is fighting now. Maria Henderson, y'all keep your eyes out for her. She's good. Yeah, there's a lot of great fighters out here. Phoenix is a hotbed for fighting, for sure.